This is RPGDad,
RPGNate,
and welcome to our weekly Encounters wrap-up. It is Encounters Day. It's Wednesday when we're doing our recording, but we're finally going to be caught up. The new season is
Dreams of the Red Wizards, Dead and Thay.
exactly. Now this is.
It's going to be funny if I'm able to remember that, but I wasn't able to.
We could not.
Scourge
You
of
couldn't
the
remember Scourge of the Sword Coast.
Yeah.
You know, if somebody would have said "Do it or die," you couldn't have done it.
No.
But this is a fun campaign because what do you have to do?
You have to.
What do all the tables have to do?
All the all the tables. They're in this one big dungeon. Has like somewhere around 108 rooms. It's insane.
Well, let's actually start with the weekend event.
Yeah.
That was last Saturday.
This was where you had.
Everybody showed up at
Bloodgate.
Floshin Estate. That's
Now,
why it was important.
If you have played the previous encounters and you got to Floshin Estate, you might know a little bit about Shalendra and the family there.
But anyway, we get to Floshin
you
Estate.
would have learned about the Bloodgate Keep. Now,
But we get there and wait a minute. When we got there, who's there? Our buddies Jack, Shalendra. There's an old half-elf guy.
I bet the guy whose name started with H. He was from the hunting ground.
And yeah, that was.
I bet that was where he.
Yeah, but who else was there? I forget
Istival.
Who?
Istival.
Istival.
Sir Istival, the big guy.
Yeah, and then there was some red wizard guy.
Minik.
He's a dick.
Yes.
And there was somebody else.
He was a dick even before.
And who was the thief
Figured out
guy? Who's the thief guy?
I don't know.
Hassan or something. I don't know what the hell his name is.
It's
We'll
like
figure it out.
Hendrik or something like that.
I don't even remember. But you get there, and the whole deal is that this Minik,
He was from the Red Wizards,
and
so
he's supposedly there to betray them, and he wants to.
He is actually there to betray them.
Yeah, but that's not the story that he tells, which the thief guy says, "I checked him out. It's all good." It's not all good, but the idea is they're going to send you through a portal to go and shut down.
You into a wall.
Go and shut down a Bloodgate because that's allowing demons to come into the world.
Yeah.
But
Kind of. No, it was Thayans, not the demons. I think
it had to do with demons too.
Yeah,
and the issue was, so they send you there, and there were 4 elemental keys.
Yeah.
Now we had 3 tables, so we worked on 3 elemental keys.
And
the fourth
fire,
table,
water, earth.
And the 4th table, the air key ended up being the heroes, which was Jack, Shalendra, you know, the foursome, and Minik, who ended up not being a hero.
It was more important, I think.
Each group had to go and get a key.
It was Shalendra and her brother.
Yeah. And it pretty much entailed going through these horrible areas.
Yeah.
I had the earth area, and it was funny because I just sat there and chuckled. I'm slowly drawing the map as they go through. And they'd walk down 5-10 feet. Boom, there's an X there, which meant that there was an earthquake, and everybody takes damage unless they make a save.
And then they still take half damage.
I mean, this thing beat the hell out of them. Then you get there, and there were earth elementals.
And earth elementals, they have resistance to normal damage, don't they? Then they also do massive damage and have massive AC.
So by the time we finally got to that point, I took it easy on them. What I did, which I know it didn't say it, but we usually tell people that these things are 2 hours. We ended up going close to 3. And your table got through quick, and the whole idea with this thing was all the tables ended up on this giant map fighting at the same time, where the Bloodgate was. But what I did do was, I mean, they were getting pounded on, the earth elementals were still up. They finally got one down. And the other one was fine. So once somebody realized, wait, let's go grab the key, I threw him a bone, and the elementals went away.
You should have left the elementals up. Richard did it, and so you kind of cheated them out a little bit.
I didn't cheat them out of anything. They would not have gotten through this because they were playing so poorly. No one could roll, and they were getting killed. So I couldn't have the weekend event close with my table being dead. So
you could.
And the thing is, these are level 6 characters, so they don't suck.
No.
But
their rolls sucked, didn't they?
But their rolls sucked, and I'm going to be honest, for this whole season, it's going to be tough for them to survive.
Yeah.
And we'll talk about that when we get to it. But they got through that, they came back, you had fire, and you had a similar thing where it was damage.
My guys just burned through.
It was damage when you did stuff, and all kinds of garbage.
Now, one of the biggest reasons they were able to get through so easily is because while they had a resistance to some things, I think it was resistance to non-magical weapons. so they have magical weapons. The majority of them did.
Well, see, my table didn't, and I did dole out some magical weapons the first week that they didn't get because they got screwed over by the campaign last season. But basically what ended up happening is all three tables ended up on this big map.
My table managed to get there first,
and it was just massive combat. And it's pretty much there were all these sacrifices going on. You had to stop the sacrifices. If you stopped the sacrifice, the blood gate had like a power level.
Yeah.
You stop the sacrifice, the power level drops. They make a sacrifice, the power level goes up. You get the keys, power level goes down. All this kind of stuff. It was still pretty much even by the time all these things were happening, because they're making sacrifices, you were stopping sacrifices, stuff's happening, this guy, it was crazy. Well, all of a sudden, Mennick shows that he's a total douche, and he calls out to Baska, because the whole plan was to release Baska from where he was imprisoned.
Yes.
Now, this is where it got funny,
yes.
Because we had a brand new player, never played before, came with somebody else, and Baska shows up and says, look, I'll make a deal with you. I will destroy the blood gate if you pull this busted-ass sword out of my chest.
Yes.
And the sword's really what's keeping him where he was. Now, the players had two options. Say, screw you, and jam it in a little farther, which would have banished him, but they didn't know that. The new player goes, I'll do it, and runs over. Fortunately, she failed her strength save.
And then one of my players just says,
oh, hell with it. But this was after they made a wisdom save and realized he was telling the truth, that he would destroy the blood gate. So he runs over.
It was kind of necessary to pull it out because he was your only chance to actually destroy the blood gate.
True. But, well, it would have built up and something would have happened anyway. There were all kinds of contingencies in that for me to make sure that it happened, and you ended up where you needed to be for this week. But your fighter comes over, pulls it out, and he goes, thanks, you guys are epic, I'll kill you last. Which was hilarious. And so it went a couple more rounds with crazy combat going on, and all of a sudden, boom, the crap hit the fan, and that's where, because of time, the DM has to make a decision, and I went ahead and said, okay, all of a sudden, things flash, you go black, and we'll see you on Wednesday.
Yeah.
So Wednesday they wake up in the Doom Vault, and that's where the campaign starts.
I don't think it woke up in the Doom.
No, it was in the Doom Vault. There's a portal room in the Doom Vault. That's one of the rooms. And you wake in that, all four groups together, and then each group, which the groups didn't know, the DMs worked out where they wanted to go. And I had my room picked out. Each group goes through their portals.
Well, you can't let the groups pick their portal.
Well, they don't know because they don't know what's there. But
because they just pick some random ass portal and end up in a level 30 room.
Yeah, which would have been hilarious. But anyway, they all separate, which we decided to use the four corners of the map, basically.
I took the Uzgrados, he took the Abyssal prisons, another DM took the Far Realm Cysts, and the last DM was assigned the Forest of Slaughter.
Now, this season, I've always had a rule, there's no TPKing in encounters.
Yeah.
That does not apply. You can die, bad things happen. That is what this thing is going to do. And if you die, you have a couple choices. I've told all my players it's a good idea to have a spare character with them. Because if you die, you can either come back at half hit points, you know, you're basically undead and you're here forever.
Yeah.
And there's no getting those hit points back. Or maybe you'll run into them in the next room and everything will be good.
Yeah. Well, no, the thing is, if you die, you can get a new character and...
The character doesn't port in. You'll run into them in another area. And that's really the way...
The person will port them in.
No.
Yeah.
I've read it already, son. I mean, we've had several arguments over this whole campaign and other stuff. It says they'll meet you in another room.
Yeah.
So that's how it is. I mean, maybe you're a prisoner that's there, they'll release you, and there's your character. And your crap's sitting over in the corner because they just stripped you down to torture you, or whatever. But they're not going to port you in for that. So this is a deadly encounter season. And the first week showed how bad it's going to be. My Abyssal prisons, you came in, and we'll talk about, you can talk about yours. We won't, I don't know what happened at the other tables, but I'm sure everybody got screwed.
Yeah.
In the Abyssal prisons, I picked it because there was a vampire there who's really powerful. And I thought it would be hilarious to kill them all with a vampire. Because this guy is high enough level, he's immune to normal weapon damage, so you can't hurt him. You'll sit there and go, oh, that tickles, you know, stop. And then it'll kill you. It all has to be magic weapons, and with a group that's maybe got a third magic weapons in there, they have no chance. The spellcaster is the only one that could really do any damage, and she is not powerful enough to take down a 200-point guy.
No.
He's powerful enough to individually, with his 5 attacks, murder everybody one at a time and have fun doing it. But the first room they come in, he wasn't the first guy they saw. It was a couple of vampire spawn, some zombies, and guys. Now they could have talked their way through this room. They could have been like, oh, we're the new replacements. Nobody thought to try to make up a story. And so they fought. And they got pounded. Even though these are just vampire spawn because of the immunity. They didn't have immunities, but they had resistance. So it made it hard for them to take them down. Then they come to the next room. And it's kind of like there's a demon down there. He's killing commoners, and there's Shalindra. And the vampire's standing over watching it because this is his area. And they're like, what do we do? And one guy walks up, and once they were within 10 feet of the hole, you get sucked into the hole and you're fighting. The rest of them are like, they tried talking to the vampire, and I figured, this is an ancient vampire. He's not going to pay attention to them. They're just a bunch of goobers as far as he's concerned. So they're like, well, let's go ahead and fight. Maybe we'll prove ourselves to him since he was ignoring them. They jump in. Fortunately for them, this demon was already at less than half hit points when it started because he had been in there pounding on commoners with blood and guts everywhere. So they got in, took about 3-4 rounds. They killed him. And the vampire's like, yay, good job. And he's like, why are you here? And they're hemming and hawing. I rolled crit, he doesn't buy it. And I'm like, think up something better. And finally they told the truth. We're here to take down the Red Wizards. Well, this guy hates the Red Wizards. He's there because of a curse. He wants to kill them. He wants out of here. Zastan, the whole deal. He freaking hates them. And once they said that, he goes, I'll make you a deal. I'll give you information and some help, and I'll even cover your tracks if you do something for me. They're like, what? He wanted to suck somebody's blood. The thief stepped up. He's like, okay, I'll do it. Well, he took 17 points of damage. Because 7 damage, 10 necrotic, and your hit points are dropped permanently by 10 points.
Did you give him the con save?
Yeah, he didn't make it. And there's no con save on this one. The con save is on the lesser guys. He doesn't get it on this guy.
Oh.
He's done. So he's down 10 points immediately. I even reread it a couple times, and I'm like, shit, he doesn't even get a con save. And but he stepped up. He's like, you know what? I'm not the tank. I can probably afford to lose a few hit points, and I'll do it for the party. And that was great. And that's where we stopped. I mean, they're working together, and they need to think a little more, but they're working together. What did your group do?
We were in the Uzgrados, so they come in. There is a white and I think 3 jellies. So the white asks them why they're there, and first time they say they're lost. Second time they say they're there to kill the Red Wizards.
And that was not what they should say.
Yeah. Now, the one where they said they're lost, they didn't even have to roll. I mean, they said we're looking for a way out, and he's just like, we'll go back to the way you came.
So what happened in the combat?
Well, first thing, because the ranger went first, he was dual wielding bladed weapons.
And that works
and
well
they're
with
jellies.
Mm-hmm.
So he moves up to where 2 of the jellies are near each other, and he attacks 1 with each of his weapons.
It makes 4.
Yeah. Now, he rolled to see what happened, to see if he realized that he was doing it, and he failed miserably, so he thought that it was not his fault. And then the bard does it, and he realizes that he definitely just did that.
So did they actually kill the jellies?
Eventually, yes. They got it to
What about the white?
The white was dead the first. Because, like I said, most of my party has magic weapons.
Okay.
Because they did everything. I had 2 jellies split fully.
So what happened after that room?
They figured out that piercing doesn't do it. So they continue through. And I think I only got 2 rooms, so the next room they did was the final. It had 3 whites, a jelly, and an ooze. The ooze didn't split though, so but it did make their weapon degrade. So I have 2 people as minus
Yeah,
1.
that's something that's beautiful with this dungeon. There's all kinds of stuff in here. If you don't have magic weapons, you hit it, it destroys your weapons.
Yeah.
You start at a 5, and then you go 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
My party,
okay, done.
My party, the people with the magic weapons, they stowed the magic weapons and took out normal weapons.
Seriously, those were the weapons that were safe.
Yeah. So now they're going around having their weapons dissolved.
Oh, that's stupid. All right. Well, that's it. I mean, we had 2 other tables doing their stuff.
Yeah.
This week, we will do our recording probably tomorrow or Friday, talk about what happened in day 2. I'm thinking we need to do 2 to 3 rooms a week.
Yeah.
Preferably 3, and we'll get through it. I think there are 108 rooms, and there's 12 weeks. We're 1 week down. So,
all right. Well, that's it for this episode.
For this wrap up. Thanks for watching.
Yep.
And we will see you next time.
If you enjoyed the video, please like, share, and subscribe, and we will see you next time. Bye.
Bye.